Miss Shen. The familiar voice froze Aurora Shen in place, nearly making her drop her phone. She jerked her head up. The first thing she saw was a pair of thin gold-rimmed glasses on behind them, a pair of deep peach blossom eyes. Adrian. Why was Adrian Wu here? Wasn't he supposed to be in Milan? How could he suddenly appear in Florence? Aurora admitted that, for a few seconds, her mind simply shut down. But what truly unsettled her wasn't his appearance. It was the sudden rush of anxiety that washed over her. She hadn't done anything wrong. She wasn't hiding anything. Yet the moment she saw Adrian, her heartbeat quickened, like someone who had just been caught with a secret. Or more precisely, as though a strange, addictive thrill had been triggered. Because she could clearly see the emotions behind his eyes. Those dark, unmasked flashes of something negative. Was it danger? Annoyance because he couldn't read her? Probably both. And that tiny, frivolous vanity in her chest flared even brighter at the moment Lawrence appeared. Behind them came the sound of leather shoes on marble flooring. Not fast, not slow. But each step landed like a heartbeat inside her chest, throwing her breath off rhythm. Aurora looked up. Lawrence was striding toward them. At that same moment, Adrian followed her gaze. His pupils tightened. Lawrence, why were the two of them in the same hotel? So this is why she no longer pays attention to you. Adrian frowned, staying where he stood, a cold, slicing smile lifting one corner of his lips. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Lawrence's voice came from beside her. In one hand he held the roses and perfume the chef had gifted her, while the other rested casually in his pocket. A thought struck Aurora. Was this what he claimed he'd left behind in the car? The moment it appeared, she smothered it. Don't overthink, it was probably just convenient. After speaking to her, Lawrence finally shifted his gaze toward Adrian. Their eyes met briefly. Lawrence nodded politely. Not returning to Milan, Mr. Wu, and you haven't gone back to Rome, Mr. De Ville, Adrian replied, using the type of formal address reserved for people one wasn't close to. I still have business to handle here in Florence. Is that so? Lawrence smiled faintly, then glanced at Aurora. And what about you, Miss Shen? What brings you here? Aurora pretended not to recognize the layered implication in his tone. She lifted her eyes, smiling crescent-like. I'm studying in Florence, remember? Normally, Lawrence said very little. But when he heard that line, a soft, breathy laugh escaped his chest. He lowered his gaze, yet the smile tugging at his lips was unmistakable. The sound startled Adrian. Though his expression remained gentle, he didn't bother to hide the complexity in his eyes when he looked at Aurora. It seems Miss Shen has plans tonight. What a pity. He paused, pressed the elevator button for them, and smiled. I originally meant to discuss the copyright issue with you. Another time then. Ting. The elevator arrived. The heavy metal doors slid open. Adrian stepped back 2 paces, narrowing his eyes slightly, offering a polite gesture of invitation. Lawrence murmured a calm thank you, then placed a hand behind Aurora's waist, guiding her into the elevator first. The doors began to close, the railing letting out a soft metallic hum. Through the narrowing gap, Aurora couldn't stop herself from looking back. In that moment, time slowed. Her gaze collided with Adrian's. He still hadn't moved, still wore that relaxed composure. But his eyes were sharp as a blade, cutting through the narrowing seam to fall directly on her. Her instinct screamed. She had underestimated him. And if she let Adrian walk away like this, she could forget about securing the copyright for the poem of the broken circle. Just as the last sliver of light was about to disappear, Aurora lunged forward and slammed the elevator panel. Wait. She darted out of the half-closed door and crashed straight into Adrian's chest. He steadied her by the arm, lips curving into a deep, unreadable smile. What is it, Miss Shen? He clearly knew what she wanted, but still asked. Can I contact you tomorrow? 2 sets of eyes, one confident, one cold and distant, fell on her at once. 7:30 tomorrow evening, she said, offering a specific time. Would that work? He answered gently. Of course. Then he checked his watch. Forgive me, Miss Shen, I have to go. See you tomorrow, good night. After he walked out of the hotel, Aurora turned back, and was startled to find the elevator still open. Lawrence stood inside, one leg crossed over the other, hand resting loosely on the railing, waiting with an unhurried air. She hurried toward him. I'm sorry, Mr. Lawrence. It's fine, as long as everything is resolved properly. His voice was cool thin ice without a ripple. She exhaled in relief. She had worried he'd be irritated at the delay. But Lawrence was always calm. Emotions rarely surfaced. They reached the top floor. Lawrence unlocked the suite with a soft click. He entered first. Aurora paused at the doorway, unsure if she should close it. Come in, close it. Yes, it was her first time inside such a luxurious suite. Florence's architecture was unlike any she'd seen. The walls, arches, carpets, all steeped in classical magnificence. Floor-to-ceiling windows opened toward a golden Arno river. Lawrence removed his suit jacket and draped it across the sofa. When he did, it revealed the dark pinstriped vest beneath, adorned with a gold fleur-de-lis pin and a silver pocket watch chain. The sleeves of his white shirt strained slightly over the muscular curve of his upper arm, and Aurora's throat went dry. She glanced only once, then immediately looked away. One more second and she'd truly look like a lust-drunk idiot. But was that her fault? He was the one who took off his jacket. He was the one with a body so built the fabric clung indecently to him. Really, it was entirely his fault. Sit. His cool voice instantly cleared her thoughts. She sat carefully on the sofa's edge. Professor Adams said you needed internship experience. He sat upright, fingers interlaced on his knee. The sheer force of his presence weighed heavily on her. Yes, sir. If it's not too much trouble, you may call me Tangor Ivy. She'd picked the name herself back in middle school, inspired by a rock singer she liked. But now, hearing Lawrence say it, it carried an entirely different meaning. All right, Ivy, just one sentence. Yet his voice brushed her skin like a whisper. God was unfair, giving him a beautiful face and an addictive voice. But she remembered why she was here. How would you like to handle my payment, Mr. Lawrence? I prefer cash. Assistant work exceeds the legal working hours for students. Paying in cash is safer. She didn't want to risk being kicked out of Italy for overtime violations. He nodded. Anything else? No, sir, good. He checked his watch. I have a video meeting soon. Do you know the note-taking format? I downloaded it from the email. Good. He moved to the desk, bending over the screen. From Aurora's angle, she could see every contour from his waist to his thigh, the folds of fabric forming dangerous lines. His grey trousers fit very snugly. Everything was outlined clearly, too clearly. Realizing she'd stared for far too long, she jerked her gaze away. Ivy, yes. His voice made her jump to her feet automatically. Why are you still standing? Aren't you preparing for the meeting? His tone was calm, but the pressure was sharp like a slap. Sorry, sir. The computer there is for you. Open the third file on the top row. Take notes in that. Aurora's nerves stretched tight like a bowstring. She opened the laptop, sat at the desk, heart pounding. At exactly 4 o'clock, the meeting began. And if she had known the evening would be this exhausting, she would have slapped herself hard before ever accepting this job.